Hi guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, Cooks by Carrie. For today's video, I'm sharing how to make this sweet chili ginger chicken lettuce cups. Now this is a home chef meal, and this is not sponsored any way possible. My mom just happened to purchase this, and she thought it could make a good video, so I thought, well, let me make it for you guys, and let me see what I think of it, any tips or tricks I have, and my overall review. So that's what I'll be sharing in today's video. Without further ado, let's get into this video. And just so you guys can see, this is what the recipe is supposed to look like and all of that. I can't really put the directions in the description for this, so you're just going to have to follow along and see how I make this if you'd like to make this at home. Alrighty, so for the first step of this recipe, you need to coarsely chop cabbage, some peanuts, and minced pickled ginger. Now, they already prepared this where they already had chopped the cabbage and the peanuts, so I just skipped that. So I started off by just mincing this ginger. So I don't use a big knife a lot, so my skills aren't that sharp. Haha, get it? Because, like, the knife's sharp. Anyway. So I basically just tried my best to chop it up into teeny little bits. So, yeah, that's all you want to do. Alrighty, now that I have minced my pickled ginger, I am going to peel in half my shallots. So, again, not that good with these types of scales. I'm getting better, but basically what I did was chopped the end of the shallot off and then peeled it a little bit and then just chopped it. And I did start out chopping the shallot and getting it to be very thinly sliced. But then you will see my dad come and take over because he is very good with these types of skills, his knife skills. And I was having a little bit of trouble with this knife. So, yeah, just heads up. But that's all you're going to want to do. Now, this recipe, I will say that it's interesting how, like, some of the stuff comes, like, already chopped, like the cabbage and, like, the peanuts. But then, like, other stuff, like the shallot doesn't come chopped, which I think is kind of funny. I don't know. I love it when, like, I've taken cooking classes before where they chop everything up all nicely for you already, and I love that. So that would be kind of cool if they could do that, but it's not that big of a deal that I have to do it. So, yeah, you can see, like, my dad's hand coming in here trying to teach me how to do it, but then eventually he takes over. But, yeah, so that's one thing I'd say. Also, this is just a little minor note that, I didn't really like about the meal kit is that, like, everything comes in plastic, and I feel like that's kind of wasteful, so it'd be nicer to see if they could do something more eco-friendly. But other than that, this was a pretty easy recipe to do. And also, you just saw there that, like, there's a part of the shallot that looks kind of gross, and so I just removed that and threw it away. You'll see in a second here. But, yeah, so I'm just going to go ahead and chop that up, and then in a second you'll see my dad chop it up. Oh, also, I was kind of, like, thinking that my knife wasn't that sharp, so right here at the beginning, my dad just resharpened the knife. So you want to make sure that you have a nice, sharp knife. And here I am again, trying to cut it thinly. So, yeah. I mean, it's just a process, like, you know, and that's a smaller, sharper knife that I decided to use. Like, it's just good to get a little bit of practice in, to just keep working on my skills. And eventually I'll be good with a knife. And maybe if you guys also struggle with your knife skills, you will too. And here's my dad, and he's just going to be repeating the process, just helping get some of the slices to be more thin, and then cutting up the other shallot. I'm not going to show you more of this because I feel like this is kind of redundant, and you guys already know how to chop a shallot by now, but I'll show you what all the shallot looks like at the end. So this is towards the end as my dad was cutting the shallot, and you can see how he does it. So he's just cutting it into small slices, And then, yeah, so they're very, very thin. And then at some point, he has to turn it over at the end because it's too small to cut very thin. So yeah, this is the better way to do it, and then you can see how thin they are. But you know, like, as long as you're careful with your knife and you get it thin, then it doesn't really matter how you do it, as long as you're being safe. And the next step for this recipe was to separate the lettuce into cups so that they'd be all ready when I wanted to fill them at the end. So I had to wash and dry my own lettuce, and that also I wish I gave it pre-washed, just because for me personally I hate washing lettuce, especially because it gets so wet and then it's so hard to dry. But that's obviously like a me thing. It's not that hard to do. So I'm just separating them into cups, and yeah. So this kit was supposed to make 4 meals, but 4 servings. But actually, there was a lot of food here. I think it maybe could have served 6, maybe even a little bit more. I don't know. Cause I felt like 2 lettuce cups was pretty good for each person, because I filled mine pretty heavily. But I guess it's a good thing that I made a lot. That way, if anyone wanted any extra, then you could have more or less if you wanted. So yep, just separating out here, trying to find some lettuce that is equally sized, because you can just do 1, but I felt like 2 would be better for like the structural support of it. And I'm just repeating this until I have done all my lettuce, and you can see that when I take the lettuce out, I'm patting it dry with the dish towel so that it gets a little more dry. Alrighty, so this is the next step, and what I'm doing here is preparing the pickled carrots mixture. So I'm combining half of the shallot, my carrots, vinegar, and a pinch of salt until all the vegetables are coated. And after this, you set it aside to pickle for at least 10 minutes, but it can be longer than that. And you just saw my dad's hand there. He was trying to help me, even though I didn't need help. And I'm just opening all the things and pouring them in. I wasn't really sure if I was going to like the pickled carrots. I don't know why. I just didn't really know. But they were actually pretty good, and I think they added a lot to the meal. And it's something that I wouldn't have tried before, so that was kind of cool. Or I guess a benefit of making this meal. And yeah, I'm just mixing it up, and you'll see I actually kind of make a mess. So I'd say just make sure you have a bowl big enough to, do this, because you don't want to make a mess like I did. And after you make this mixture, you're going to set aside, and we're going to go cook the chicken. Alrighty, so now you need a medium nonstick pan, or I use my wok, and I just thought it was perfect for this meal, which if you have one at home, that'd be great if you could use one, or just use whatever you have on hand. This recipe is like really accommodating. And you're gonna want to heat 1 teaspoon of olive oil in this pan. And even though you can see my pot did have some, or my wok did have some oil in already, I did put in about a teaspoon. And then I'm going to add my ground chicken to my hot pan and break it up until no pink remains. And there's a minimum internal temperature of 165 degrees. You want to make sure that you chop the chicken a lot. And even though obviously you can't see the chicken until the next clip, this is just showing you that I'm moving around the oil. You will see that when I'm getting out the I almost said ground beef, no. The chicken, the ground chicken, it is kind of difficult for me to do, and there's a little bit left in the baggie at the end, but that's completely fine. You just want to get out as much as you can and just cook it all. And one thing that I noticed is that it was kind of hard to break up the meat at first. So you just kind of want to not be super aggressive with it, but just try and chop it up into as tiny of pieces as you can. So the camera does look a little shaky here, sorry about that, that's just because of this time lapse. But I just wanted to demonstrate that, as you can see, like, some of the meat is getting cooked and some of it's not, but that's completely okay. You just want to smash it, mush it, chop it up as finely as you can, and just make sure that everything's getting coated. Flip it, it'll work out in the end, even if it looks kind of weird like this in the moment. Alrighty, so after about, that 7 to 9 minutes, all my chicken had cooked, I'm adding in some soy sauce packets and just mixing it all up. I think this is just give it more flavor and yeah, tie it all in the dish to be like one flavor. Like have all the like instead of just having one part plain and the rest have flavor, kind of giving everything a little bit of flavor so that it all combines really well and tastes really good. So yeah, cooking the chicken was really easy and yeah, definitely beginner friendly. Let me know in the comments if you would like more videos like this, testing out, like recipe boxes or anything else, because I'm really open to your guys' suggestions, and I really want to know what you think of my videos and any videos I produce in the future. And now I'm done cooking the chicken and I'm going to transfer it to a plate. So I'm taking a plate and carefully getting out all the meat. And it's okay if a teeny bit is left in the pan because we don't need to clean it. We're just going to keep on using it just because it doesn't really matter. All the dish is going to be the same at the end. So it doesn't matter if there's a little bit of the chicken left and it gets in the next thing that we're going to be cooking, which is going to be the cabbage. So yeah, just try and get out as much as you can. Be careful. Don't spill any of it. It's pretty simple, but yeah. Alrighty guys, before I continue with this video, please subscribe, hit that thumbs up, comment down below what you'd like to see next, turn your notification bell on so you get notified when I post a new video, and share this video with a friend. I have a goal of 100 subscribers, so you could please help me with that, that'd be greatly appreciated. Alrighty guys, let's continue with this video. Alrighty, now to my same wok. You can see that it's still a little bit dirty, but that's alright. I am adding 2 teaspoons of olive oil, and I'm going to add the remaining shallot. And I'm going to stir it constantly until it begins to look translucent. And this took me about 2 minutes. But it can take you a little less or a little more. But again here, I'm just making sure that I'm coating the oil everywhere on the bottom of the pan. And you can see that it's very, very hot. The oil is already bubbling like that. So yeah. And I'm just using my hands, get out the rest. And then I'm just going to use not my spatula. I went in with my spatula at first, but then, I decided to go in with a, wooden spoon. So I'll drop that in a little bit, and you'll see me take over with a wooden spoon. And you're just looking for them to be clear, translucent looking. So it takes a minute, but it's really not that difficult to get there. And it's an easy step. This recipe was just kind of a lot of like, hey, you've prepared everything, let's cook it all. So it was not very many steps and pretty beginner friendly, except for maybe the chopping. Alrighty, now to the shallots, I am going to add some cabbage, salt, and pepper. Not some cabbage, actually, all the cabbage. And I'm going to stir it constantly until it begins to brown and looks tender, but it will still be crisp. So, crispy. I don't know, crisp. This took me about 4 minutes, but it can take 3 to 4. So yeah, when you cook it, you're going to notice that the cabbage is going to be kind of like brown in color. It's going to get way darker, and you're not going to see this like white or like a lot of that. So yeah. Alrighty, so here's what it looks like at the end. So I guess I am a little wrong. It did kind of still look similar to what it did in the beginning. The recipe card just shows a picture that's a little bit darker than what I had, but you know what? There's going to be some variation when I make this at home, and so yeah, it looked pretty good. And this time I'm pouring it out by just tilting my pan and then pouring it all out. This method I found was way easier, and I'm going to do it again in a little bit. So yeah, if your arm's like strong enough, to like do that, then yeah, you should do that. And, or I guess not strong enough. That's probably the wrong word. Like, just, like, as long as your pan's not too heavy that you can tilt it, then you're fine. And I'm just making sure that I get most of it out. Alrighty, we're on the home stretch. We are almost done with this recipe. Now it is time to make this sauce. So basically, we're using the same pan, we're heating it to medium-high heat, and what we're going to do is add the pickled ginger, sweet chili sauce, which is like given, and a fourth a cup of water. But since mine was, like, usually this recipe is for 2, but since I have a family of 4, I did half a cup of water to a hot pan, and I'm bringing it to a simmer. So you can see it's kind of burning there, and I got a little nervous, but I am going to go ahead and mix it up in 1 second. I just had to get all the ingredients in. So yeah, that's all I'm doing here. Add ingredients, stir it up, let it get to a simmer, and then we'll go to the next step. And here's what it looked like at a simmer. It's a little bit hard to tell, but there was like some little teeny tiny bubbles. And yeah, and you can see there's some pieces of cabbage in there still, just a few, but it's all fine. It's all gonna go into be one dish. And yep, here it is again. You can see how hot the pan is. Excuse me, because it is steaming, and I'm adding back in the chicken. You can see how tiny my chicken is really here. And yeah, so I'm just mixing it all up, and then I'm just going to get it all coated, and then I'm going to just kind of leave it there for, mine actually got kind of cold at this point, so I left it there for like 3 minutes or 4, but you can just leave it there for 1 or 2. Also, funny thing is, like, I've had lettuce cups at a restaurant before, and the chicken was like, the sauce was way like darker in color, and this one wasn't, which I thought was kind of interesting, but it was still good in the end, so, you know, I guess it doesn't really matter. Alrighty, so now it's time to pour it all out, and I'm using the same method I used for the cabbage, picking up the pan and using a spoon to get everything out. Now, this is a little bit hard to do because my pan was really full of chicken, and so it's pretty heavy, but just do your best and try and get all of it out, because at this point we're not using the pan any longer, so it's really important to get everything out. And at this point, I can see that my burner was still on, but you want to turn off the burner at this point because it's not getting used anymore. And that's how it looked. I was very excited at this point to eat the meal. And it's time to assemble the cups. So basically what I did is I took some lettuce, filled it with chicken, then I filled it with some cabbage, and then I topped it with the pickled carrots mixture. On top, if you'd like to add some peanuts, you can, but personally, I'm not really a big fan of peanuts, and neither is my mom, only really my dad likes them. So, I didn't really put peanuts on any of them. And I'm just continuing this for the rest of the cups. So it's almost the end of the video, guys, and here's my overall meal rating. I give it a 7 out of 10. This is because time-wise, I honestly don't really think it's quicker than cooking a regular dinner at home. I think this meal said that it was going to take me about 30 to 40 minutes, and I think in reality it took me probably an hour and 10 minutes, and maybe even a little bit longer. And I know I'm filming, but still, that's a pretty long time, and usually the same as I normally would make dinner. For taste, I personally would give it a 6 out of 10. I feel like it was pretty good day of, but I wouldn't really want leftovers of it. But my family, they actually did really enjoy it, and they'd probably rate it a bit higher. But I did think night of, it was really good, but it's not something I'd be like, oh, I really want to eat this again, or like, oh, I can't wait to have the leftovers of it. That's just for me personally, though. For waste, so this category, I mean the plastic, I know I mentioned this earlier in the video, but like all of everything that came in a little plastic container, and that kind of bothered me. So I'd give the waste a 7 out of 10. And I give it a 7 out of 10 because, like, I guess what are they going to do? But I'd like to see some more eco-friendly packaging. And then for creativity, I'd give it a 9 out of 10. And by this, I mean, like, this dish maybe be out of, like, something I'd normally think to make. And so I was really glad that this kid did include something that that I was able to try something that might have been out of my food comfort zone, or maybe that I wouldn't have thought of to make before. So yeah, overall, 7 out of 10. Not too bad. Alrighty guys, that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe, like, comment what you'd like to see next, turn that notification bell on, and share this video with a friend. Also, if you haven't already, please follow me on Instagram at Cooks by Carrie. I post lots of photos of the food I cook. And that's it until Foodie Friday. And for Foodie Friday, I'm making secret spaghetti and meatballs. And by secret, I mean surprise. So now you know. So definitely tune in at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to see that video. Alrighty guys, bye!